Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing something really exciting. We are going to take a standard, everyday vocabulary list and transform it into a fascinating journey through storytelling and history. Because, we aren't just here to memorize definitions off flashcards. We're actually going to see how language breathes life into ancient legends, pivotal moments in history, and dramatic classic literature.
Okay, let's jump right in and put you to the test with a fill-in-the-blank question inspired by our source text. I want you to think about a mythical trickster figure. By their very nature, these characters break the mold, right? So, would you describe them as orthodox, meaning they follow traditional standard beliefs? Or are they wayward, meaning they are disobedient, willful, and totally unpredictable? Well, if you chose wayward, you are already thinking exactly like the storytellers we'll be exploring today.
To really lock down these 20 vocabulary words, here is our agenda. 1. The coyote trickster myth. 2. Words of chaos and conflict. 3. Real-world word usage. And 4. Literary words in context.
Section 1. The coyote trickster myth. Let's see how this legendary Native American trickster acts as our first context anchor. Coyote is a true bundle of contradictions. In Native American myths, he's highly spirited, meaning he's just bursting with life and vigor, but he's also incredibly controversial. He's a rebel, a troublemaker, and sometimes he's undeniably wily and ingenious. But at other times, he plays the complete fool. And when Coyote makes those foolish, clumsy mistakes, he perfectly embodies our first vocabulary word, buffoon. A buffoon is a noun meaning a clown or a coarse, stupid person. You see, Coyote isn't always this majestic creature. Sometimes he acts exactly like a buffoon, either to entertain the people around him or to secretly set up a deceptive trap. To see this word in action, just look at how Coyote's restless physical movement is described. One of his absolute biggest concerns is just trying to fill his constantly hungry belly. To procure food, which means to obtain it through special effort, he engages in some extremely fast-paced, frantic behavior. So, instead of just rote memorization, I want you to associate the word scurry with a starving coyote rushing and scampering around in a panic. To scurry is a verb that means to run quickly or dash. Picture Coyote scurrying around in a disguise just to trick a trader out of his clothes and his horse, leaving that poor trader absolutely mortified. But here's the twist, and this brilliantly illustrates the other side of Coyote. He isn't just a prankster who scurries around playing the buffoon. He's actually a creator hero. Our source text points out that in many tales, Coyote steals fire to give to humans, which perfectly parallels the Greek myth of Prometheus. And even more mind-blowing, he's credited with fashioning the universe itself out of absolute nothingness. Which brings us to void. The crucial point here is that void can mean a completely empty space, exactly like the universe before creation. As an adjective, it means completely empty, or having no legal force or effect. It can also be a noun for that empty space itself. Coyote literally looked into the void and built a world. Section 2. Words of chaos and conflict. As you can probably guess, Coyote's adventures in that new world are rarely peaceful. Now, to really lock down a definition, it's super helpful to look at opposites. Notice the stark contrast here between words of unity on the left, like pact, league, and coalition, and words of division on the right, like rift and split. This contrast sets us up perfectly for our next word. An alliance is that pact or coalition. It's a noun meaning a joining together for some common purpose. Here's a great example from the text. Coyote actually forged a temporary alliance with his friend Iktimit, the spider. The two friends were admiring a beautiful rock together, and Coyote, feeling generous, even placed his own blanket on it as a gift.
But, as is the case in most trickster myths, alliances break down super fast when selfishness gets in the way. When the weather turned freezing cold, Coyote selfishly snatched his blanket right back from the rock. Oh, and by the way, the rock's name was Ea. And let me tell you, Ea did not appreciate this broken alliance. When that magical rock was stripped of its blanket, it became straight up hostile. Hostile is an adjective meaning unfriendly, unfavorable, warlike, or aggressive. Idiot took on a highly aggressive demeanor, physically rolling through the woods, furiously pursuing the two friends, until it literally flattened Coyote like a rug.
Section 3. Real-world word usage. Now that we've seen these words operate in the wild world of myth, let's see how versatile they are in everyday scenarios.
Take a look at this famous crossing from December 1776. Think about the physical and mental state of George Washington's army on that freezing night. They were facing heavy losses against the British. The situation looked incredibly grim right before they achieved their surprise victory in New Jersey.
The army was virtually defeated. The word virtual is an adjective meaning having a certain force or effect in fact, but not in name. So close to being equivalent to the real thing. Washington's army was so close to losing that defeat was essentially a fact, even if the actual formal surrender wasn't official yet.
Let's test this in a totally mundane, everyday scenario. If you no longer attend high school, what exactly happens to your student bus pass? Is it voided or is it disheartened? Think back to our definitions from earlier.
Well, a bus pass is a physical, non-living object, so it loses its legal force. It becomes voided. A bus pass definitely cannot have its feelings hurt. To dishearten, on the other hand, is a verb meaning to discourage, demoralize, or dispirit. Failing a massive test might dishearten you. A voided bus pass might be annoying, but it's the walk home in the rain that disheartens you.
Section 4, Literary Words in Context. Seeing words woven into compelling prose is truly one of the best ways to commit them to memory. We can put our newly acquired vocabulary to the ultimate test by using it to decipher excerpts from Jack London's 1904 novel, The Sea Wolf. It's this rugged, gritty nautical story filled with intense characters and massive stakes, which of course requires highly expressive language.
Just listen to this intense phrasing. The narrator is talking about a character whom life has dealt with grotesquely and monstrously. When Jack London describes a man as having a malignant devil in him, you can immediately feel that dark, dangerous energy radiating right off the page. Because a malignant spirit isn't just slightly mean. As an adjective, malignant means deadly, extremely harmful, evil, spiteful, or malicious. We're talking about a deeply wicked, malevolent force that intends to cause extreme harm. It is the absolute, polar opposite of wholesome or beneficial. All right, now it is entirely your turn to put all these words into action. I want you to imagine you are Coyote. You've spent your whole life playing the buffoon, forming messy alliances, and scurrying away from hostile rocks. How would you craft an argument to persuade others that your chaotic actions actually do good for the world? Will your response be orthodox or beautifully, unpredictably wayward? Keep exploring these words and go use them to tell your own stories.